You will remember earlier in the night, the chairman, David Vo, paid a very appropriate and heartfelt tribute to the man who has really been the driving force of the LBW Trust for their 10 years. And I want to welcome him back now, the former chairman, president, co-founder, Darshak Mehta.
पार्टी शुरू हुई है अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है और जिसको डांस नहीं करना वो जाके अपनी भैंस चराए
What are you doing, Scotty? I asked you to play Gustav Mahler. This is not Gustav Mahler. The melancholy Gustav Mahler piece, I've become lost to the world. That is what I wanted you to play. And you play a tacky, bloody Hollywood number at a solemn tearjerker like this one. And how am I expected to look presidential with that blaring away as my introduction? What will all these people think of such a frivolous charity? I mean, there are so many filthy rich, but extremely respectable and highly responsible people here, none of whom have ever given me a cent. Hello? Your money is welcome. And remember, I know where you live and I know where you work. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th annual general dinner of the Link Group's fully owned charity, the LBW Trust. I am told it is a much sought after, eagerly anticipated event. Sorry, John, Freudian slip. My board cynically fronts me up, knowing that I am a volatile, emotional mug who can be banked upon to cry, and I never disappoint them. The bastards are right. I have been blessed with copious lacrimal glands. But I will also cloy and cajole. I would unconscionably, unhesitatingly sell my soul. So would you if you had 2,000 young adults depending on you to lift them from the morass of poverty and into the realm of hope. I am embarrassed standing here trying to say big fancy words in the presence of literary titans like Tom Kennelly, Michael Roberton, Malcolm Knox. Their publisher, Patrick Gallagher, swears that I have absolutely no shame. I have some. A purr. Now, if I can introspect, if ever such a thing is possible to do publicly, I am not a director anymore, though still hanging around like a bad, smelly expelled wind as president and co-founder. So I am able to reflect honestly and share a few of our achievements and some potential concerns. In 10 years, the LBW Trust has grown substantially, from 0 to 1,500 students in 8 countries. It's an awesome outcome, possible only because of your insane support. There were and always will be challenges, and the biggest for a voluntary organization, and I'm not being autobiographical or critical of ourselves, is finding directors who have time, energy, ideas, and motivation. Finding people with deep networks who are prepared to use and abuse them. There has to be good communications and unanimity of purpose, vision, and decisions. I am ridiculously proud that in my 9 years as chairman, not one resolution ever went to a board vote. Everything was unanimous, despite there being up to 10 directors at times. I got rolled by our board a couple of times on some silly ideas, but I was brought to my senses and we still took unanimous decisions. All this is never easy. We have seen about 10 directors come and go in these 10 years, very glamorous to boast to friends or on your CV as a career move or for your social status. But selfless people out there like Brian Hughes and Lynn O'Brien are rarer than hen's teeth. You have to look for the workers, never the shirkers, and beware of the posers. And the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as people realize after joining the board of a charity. Hey, hang on, I really can't devote all this time. Such people are best going off or being turfed off. Again, this is neither easy nor pleasant, just necessary. People have jobs, careers, hobbies, families, lives. In all immodesty, not many can jettison everything else and be like me. Thank God for that. But at the same time, we at the LBW Trust have to be true to ourselves. You love us because of what we are, a quaint little charity with a cricketing niche in the international tertiary education space, which embraces the highest traditions of volunteerism. Run on the smell of an oily rag, extremely abstemious. These are endearing traits and core values to possess and cherish. We are aware and in fact exploitative of our disproportionately high profile. And with profile comes scrutiny. Just ask Shane Warne. To me, corporate governance was not a buzzword. I would rather go to ridiculous lengths to avoid spending your penny, your cent, than offer glib explanations in disingenuous management jargon justifying all such professionalism and transparency. You, our supporters, are our masters. And if we have captured your faith and imagination, it is incumbent upon us to ensure that we retain your goodwill at all times and do nothing to compromise or erode our painstakingly built distinctive identity. David and the board of the LBW Trust do a great job, folks. They take little notice of my poison arrows and vitriolic tongue from time to time, which is as it should be. After all, like Messrs. Abbott, Rudd, and Gillard in another sphere, I have had my time, and this organization is now theirs to mold on the vision of the founders, Peter Roebuck, Mike Coward, Peter Strain, who is here, and this cranky fool. I might only have one or two more of these sermons in me next year before I walk away into the abyss of anonymity. Perhaps back to the meetings of the Mosman branch of the Australian Labour Party, which are held in a phone booth on Spit Road. David and Mike have said all the serious things that needed to be said about the LBW Trust and what a fantastic organization we are, etc., etc., etc. I have said these things too many times, but as you were probably not listening before, I will reiterate. 1, we are the Learning for a Better World Trust, not leg before wicket trust. or Love Before Wedding Trust. Ye with filthy minds. Yes, very clever that, LBW. We are not into the education of children. We educate young adults, tertiary education, vocational education. If you use the words kids or associate us with children, I will unleash One Direction on you. We have no paid staff, no office, no overheads. We are a truly volunteer ghost organization, unique. And this one is particularly for the benefit of some of you journos, who are not in this room, of course, with the attention span of goldfish. Listen, Batting for Change is a joint fundraising initiative of ours in partnership with St. Ryan Carters. Yes, the sublime Ryan Carters. But the next time you mention Batting for Change and do not mention the LBW Trust, you will be hearing from my lawyer, the ultimate arbiter, Mr. Mick Gatto, okay? Think, are you tired of living? We probably educate more young women than men, in partnership with about a dozen local NGOs in 8 cricket-playing developing countries. Nobody has to play cricket, watch cricket, or even spell cricket to qualify for a scholarship. Cricket is merely the ruse we use to confuse people and raise mullah. The students are selected based on their challenging backgrounds by our NGO partners. And that was the cue to screen a little YouTube clip just sent by one of our partners. And I'll tell you a little bit about him the moment you've seen the clip. Scotty.
Hi friends, this is Dhanada here, greeting you from Parlakhemundi, a small remote town in coastal state of Odisha, at the southern border, almost 300 kilometers from the state capital of Bhubaneswar. The district of Gajapati, where we are, is one of the least developed in the country. It boasts of no industry, dominated by dwindling forests, mountainous terrain, and the tribals who are the original inhabitants. Trickle-down development doesn't reach here easily, and hence, the small yet significant effort, such as ours, thanks to your help, is crucial. Among other things, we provide skill development training to local youth, like many of the girls and a few boys that you see here. And among them is Puspanjali, who is a class 8 dropout, and yet she dreams to become a fashion designer someday. The training that we provide is simple tailoring and dressmaking, but we hope that it will be a small first step towards her dream. We'll also encourage her to pursue the formal education she needs through open schooling. Friends, I left a plus job in Sydney in 2003, almost 12 years ago, to pursue a dream, to bring practical education to the least privileged in my home state. My friend Darshak calls me crazy to this day, but not only I have no regrets other than missing the wonderful life we had in our second homeland, but I truly feel blessed to be able to do what we are doing. I must thank Mike and Mr. Chaudhary of Vikas, who have been a constant source of help and encouragement. do continue your support and be generous to make this work possible in the future also. Once again, I really feel blessed and feel greatly obliged to LBW Trust and friend Darshak for making all of this possible. It's a dream come true for me, and I hope it will make a real difference to lives of many youngsters. Thank you so much.
Now, Dhanada's is a very interesting story. He has an M.Tech in structural engineering from Oklahoma University and a PhD in civil engineering materials from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He played cricket with me and 8 or 10 others in this room here in Sydney, and that's how we got to know him. Terrific cricketer too. He drew a plush 6-figure salary in Sydney with Rockla. One fine day, he decided to uproot his young family, his young son and wife, to go back to India to do social service. And I insisted that before he did that, at least to get his wife and son to become Aussie citizens as insurance. And fortunately, he listened to that. After he returned to India, I cursed him for being a fool and asked him what was he drawing. He said the equivalent of $500 a month as the principal of a local tech college. I cruelly jibed that it served him right for being such an idiot. And he said he was very contented. It was more money than he needed, and in fact did not know what to do with the $250 a month that he saved. I swear this is a true story. Such people exist. Both Mike and Peter Roebuck, by the way, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge that the LBW Trust is one of Peter's great legacies and ideas. Both Mike and Peter visited Orissa and saw firsthand the work he did amongst the tribals and the dirt poor, and they both came back raving. Now those are the sort of people that we are partnering with, where your money is going, and hopefully making a huge difference. Look, now it's time for me to seriously suck up. Where do I start? Right at the top. Where do you think I should be looking? John McMurtry. You and Philip Malboa have been absolute angels. Angel investors too in us. I will forever be your slave. In fact, I already am. You have given us so much confidence, encouragement, and support at our most vulnerable times. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Ram, Kishore, Sanjeev, who are my board colleagues from Link in Time India. Welcome to Australia. Patrick Gallagher, you have been a class act and always extremely generous. Quentin Freeman, Shane Gaha, Sachin Khisti, Dr. David Thomas from Cranbrook, you have all been our rocks. We are deeply, deeply indebted. To our patrons, what can I say except that I misrepresent you at every opportunity. And yet in 10 years, we have lost only former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser when his maker came calling. Maurice Newman, great to finally see you here. Your enthusiasm and help over the years has always been prompt, gracious, and appreciated. I can publicly confirm that the Honorable John Faulkner and I have for over a decade been in a committed, monogamous, romantic relationship, which is the talk of Darlinghurst. We have a love-hate relationship. I love him, he hates me. I don't know why I call him the Australian Gandhi. His language with me would horrify even Mahatma quote. Forget the real Mahatma himself. Two other patrons that I must single out who couldn't be here are the most forthright gentlemen I have had the misfortune to know, yet the great fortune to call friends. The incomparable Greg Chappell, who is crook today and thus absent. He is a legend who never says no, never shies away from going into bat for us, never comes back empty-handed either. As a rule, the Chappells do not have a defensive bone in their bodies. And Greg has elevated me to mountaineer status. He thinks I'm the Edmund Hillary of social climbing. Malcolm Speed is another one who, though tough as nails, is at heart a pussycat that growls though. And I mustn't forget Adam Gilchrist, Gilly, that freak, once-in-a-century cricketer, who is an even better human being than he was a cricketer, if that is possible. He's another patron who is conscientious, committed, and the trust is deeply grateful for all that he does. Now let me embarrass a few random people in the room who I think should be mentioned. Ian Chappell. Is there a bigger name in cricket? Chappelli is a brutally honest, modest man with a heart of gold, who I shamelessly hero worship. He treats plebs the same as celebs, unless your name is Piers Morgan. Harsha Bhogle, the voice of India, Hindustan ki pehchan, Bharat ki awaz, is here again to show his support, the third time. He's a rock star, and whether he's walking the streets of Bombay, London or Sydney, people simply adore him. And Mike has already told you how many Twitter followers he has. But what you may not know is that he does a lot of life-saving work via Twitter, one of the best uses of that flaky medium. Sorry folks, I know I've been remarkably self-indulgent, but people in the room like Paul Burns and my old friend Paul King keep flattering me. Isn't Burns the greatest film critic since Pauline Kael? If you have ever wondered, now this is where I'm going to start crying. If you have ever wondered, where is the heart of Farlap, I have it figured out. It resides in the redoubtable Lynn O'Brien, who should be lionized. She's retiring from the LBW Trust. She has been a formidable, feisty ally, and you could never get anyone more loyal, trustworthy, or committed. All whilst being fiercely independent and telling you what you don't want to hear. Despite 3 heart attacks and 2 strokes, her energy levels have been obscene, and her commitment never flags. 2 days ago, much to the horror of the ambos, she was emailing me from the ambulance, instructing me on what to do. She's nuts. I know that her family will not only forever thank me for letting her retire, but also blame me for taking 5 years of her natural life with her own consent. But for nearly a decade, the LBW Trust has been her life. Please, please keep spending like drunken sailors tonight, so that it is by far our most successful ever dinner. There are pledge forms on every table, and I beg you to fill these out with whatever you can afford. Hopefully, at least 3 figures, 4 figures, and 5 figures if you want me to stop talking. Our board believes that once I start my pitch in the style favored by Bob Hawke, we can sell any old junk for crazy prices. Please don't disprove them. And that is my segue to introducing Sydney's finest auctioneer, Damien Cooley. I hope that you are sufficiently warmed up for him to rob you blind. Please allow him to. The fate of 2,000 students is in your wallets. Thank you for your unbelievable support over this decade. It is not just gratifying, but truly humbling.